from your end is please take one Azure subscription. Okay, so that is portal.azure.com. So this is the website. Okay, so if you don't have any account, try to create one account. Okay, try to create one account and it will ask you your credit card or debit card details. They won't charge you much. Okay, so it's a free subscription. So one time they might deduct around 2 rupees or something, or 200. I didn't remember it exactly, but somehow they will charge around 100 rupees to 200 rupees. Just take it, and free subscription, I can say. And as you are 4 members and you are all residing in a single home, that would be better. You'll go with one subscription at a time. So you can take one subscription and you can do access to other 4 members, and everybody will work on that subscription itself. It will have a validity of 30 days. So once the 30 days is completed, then another person will create the account. Okay, so that at least you can get the accounts for the practice purpose as well. Okay, so try to create the accounts. If you don't have any link, I'll give you. Okay, from there you can start it. Start free. So you just create your account and let me know if you have any issues while creating the account as well. I'll help you. Okay, this is the first requirement from my end. Be prepared for this account for the next class, tomorrow's class. Okay, so before going to the DevOps or before going to the everything, so let me explain the exposure first. Okay, what an actually a software engineer need to work. Okay, as a DevOps engineer. So what are the basic expectations? Okay, then we'll start for the course. Okay. So, you know, right? Every organization have one dedicated URL. Okay, that is, let's say you can consider www.flipkart.com. Okay, so if you go any website, it's a website. You're seeing it, right? So you just simply observe with common sense how if I enter www.flipkart.com, how it is taking me to this particular place, how it is showing me all the things. You just understand. Okay, so whenever you made a request, from internet, to www.flipkart.com. Okay, so whenever you made a request to www.flipkart.com from internet, how it is reaching to the server and how it is showing you the details. Got it? That is the first point. The second point, somehow you reached the website and you can see some data over there. How the data is kept on the server, and to show all these things, there must be some backend code written. Right? There might be some backend code. That is the reason you can see all these things. You can see this flash. So the images are moving. Okay, you can see this button. So if you click on this button, it is moving. You can see some other options. You can see some drop downs. Okay, if you click on any one and then it is going to that particular one. So how it is going to do this, all the functionalities or to perform all these actions, there might be a code written in the backend. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the first point is how you are reaching to this website, and second point is to maintain a website, you must have one backend code written. Right? So the important thing is you must have a code inside the server. Right? You must have a code inside the server. And next, the code is fine. After the code, you must have data as well, right? You can see this image, you can see this image, you can see this image. These are all called images, or these are all called data, right? So you can see this text, right? You can see this text. So it means some data is there on the website, right? To show that data, they're using the backend code. Got my point?
Yeah.
To show the data, they're using the backend code. Okay. So basically every server contains the code as well as data, or every application contains a code as well as data. If you want to start any organization or if you want to start any website, the basic things you required is you must have a code, you must have data to show on your website. Agree?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said that there is a code required. You said that there is a data required. So now I have my code with me and I have a data with me. Where I need to keep it? Where I need to keep it? Okay. To keep that code and data, you need one concept that is called server. Okay. It's like a laptop you can consider. Okay. It's like a device. Okay. So it's a device where you're keeping your code as well as your data. Right? You understood what is meant by server?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Basically, in our human world, I can call you as Lokesh or I can call you as Gautam because you are talking each other with the help of names. Okay, that is in human world. But coming to the computer world, the two devices, the electronic devices are very particularly. The two devices will talk to each other by the numbers. That number we used to call it as IP. Okay. If one person is born, we will name that person. So we will call that person with that name, right? Similarly, if you create any server in the computer world, you need to call that server with the help of IP address. You understood what is meant by IP address?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So basically, everything has certain syntax. Like your name has one syntax, right? The surname first, and then your name, and then if you have any caste, then that you need to add it. Okay, there is a syntax, correct? The similar way for IP address also there is a syntax. Okay, that is something 1.1.1.1. Like four sets you can take. Four sets. This is one set and dot one set and dot one set and dot one set. That's a four set of digits. Four set of digits. Okay. This set of digits have certain limitations. That is, any IP address should be having 0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. So this is the range. So whatever the server you have created, right? That server should be named or should be having IP address within this range. That means this first digit, it can vary from 0 to 255. So it could be 1.2.3.4.5.6 until 255 dot. Okay, this has certain limitation, that is 0 to 255 of first digit. The second digit also 0 to 255, and third digit also varies from 0 to 255, and fourth digit also varies from 0 to 255. Now you got the point. Let's say you are in India and you are taking one mobile number. Okay, so what is the limitation? That mobile number must have 10 digits. That means it can go maximum up to, you can start with 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 to 999999999. This is the maximum range you can give your numbers. Am I right? The
Yes.
maximum. You don't have 11 digit mobile numbers, right? The maximum allowed limit is 0 to 9. Correct? The similar way here, the IP address range is defined from 0.0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. So whatever the IP address you can tell, let's say 122.233.222.111. So this is also reside in the same range. The first digits also reside between 0 to 255, and second digit also reside between 0 to 255, and third digit also resides in 0 to 255, and fourth digit also resides 0 to 255. Okay, it should not be like 546.786 dot like that. It won't be like that. Okay, this is not allowed limit. The allowed limit is between 0 to 255. I hope you got the concept of IP address.
Yes.
Okay, so now this IP address having certain limitations. What is the limitations? As I told you before, this range must be between 02.02.02.255.255.255. Okay, that means there might be some range or there might be some set of IPs. So if you name it 0 to 100, what is the maximum count available here? You will get 100 numbers only. Am I right? What if there is 110 people? How you can assign numbers? Got my point?
Yeah.
Okay, so in IT world also, every day there are new things are coming up. Every day there are new servers are creating. So one fine day, this range will be adjusted. Correct or not?
Yeah.
Okay, so to overcome this, they have further splitted the IP addresses into public IPs, private IPs. You got it? They further splitted these IPs into public IPs and then private IP. So you can assign any one IP address to the server. Both IP addresses range between 0 to 255 only. So now I don't want to tell you about what is meant by public IP and what is meant by private IP. It will be confusion. This we will discuss it later. Okay, you just understand that whatever the server you are creating, you just need to assign one IP address. That IP address must be in the range of 0 to 255. It's clear?
Yes.
Fine. So now you have an IP address and you have one server created, and inside that server you have given one IP address to call that server, and within that server you have put your code and you have put your data. Fine. Right. Now let's say this server having an IP address of 1.1.1.1. Correct? The name is 1.1.1. Okay. So on that server, what website data you have kept? That is www.flipkart.com data you kept it. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, if I click on internet, www.flipkart.com, how it knows that particular flipkart.com is hosted on 1.1.1? How it knows? Okay, so you purchased one server and you kept it in one room in your home. How the internet knows? How the browser knows that you have one server purchased? Inside that server you have hosting a www.flipkart.com and the name is 1.1.1. How it knows? Right? So to do that, there is one mechanism that is called DNS. Got it? There is one mechanism. That mechanism we used to call it as DNS. That is called domain name service or server. You can call it any. Okay. So there is a concept of domain name service. So what is meant by this domain name service? What it exactly does is, let's say one person purchased a mobile and he has one mobile number. Correct? So you can contact that person by using or by calling to this mobile number only. Am I right or not?
Yes.
Right. So similarly, if you host www.flipkart.com on a server with name 1.1.1.1, then from the internet, if you browse 1.1.1, it can directly go to your server. You don't have an issue. Okay. If you browse the website with 1.1.1 of this particular server, anyway, it will reach us to that server because it has the details, right? Okay. Similarly, if you know the mobile number and if you dial it, it will reach that person. Okay. But the problem is it would be a bit difficult to remember the number, right? It would be a bit difficult. That's why what you are doing in your mobile, you are giving one user friendly or one rememberable name to that number. Correct? So you are saving that number with a name. The name is easily recognizable or easily remember. Right? You can easily remember that name. So with the help of name, if you try to call that person by using the name, it will resolve the backend phone number associated with that name, and to that phone number the call goes. Am I right or not?
Yes.
So similarly, in internet world, every server having IP address, and it would be a bit difficult to remember all the IP addresses. So that is the reason they have introduced a concept called the domain name or a name. So here in your phone, you have a phone book or you have a contact, there you can map your mobile number with name, right? You can map your mobile number with your name. But what about the internet? So there might be some mechanism, there must be some mechanism which allows you to map your IP address with a domain name. Correct or not?
Yep.
So now in the DNS, we will map www.flipkart.com with IP address. So whenever anyone's request a website called www.flipkart.com in the internet, the first request goes to DNS server. This is the default route. Okay, whenever someone browses www.flipkart.com, the first request goes to DNS server, and from there it will resolve the backend IP address, and from there it will reach us to that backend IP address. You got my point?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And again, if you completely talk about domain name service, so here, like your mobile or like your phone book or contacts, from the DNS also, as I told you before, you need to map your www.flipkart.com website with your IP address. So who will give you this access to map it? If it is your phone, you just unlock it and you just go to your contacts and you just add your contact and you just add your mobile number with your name. But coming to the DNS in the internet world, who will allow you to log into this particular place and to can add or to can map your IP address with your host name? Okay. So for this, there are dedicated providers available in the market. Those are GoDaddy, okay, GeoTrust, or OpenSSL. Okay, there are many providers. There are many providers available in the market who will give you an access to the DNS server where you can map your website with the IP address. Is that clear?
Yeah.
And again, so one more additional thing. So let's say if you try to understand this complexity, that not only you having access to the DNS, any people across the globe, whoever access to the GoDaddy, they can give access to the this DNS server and they can able to map it, right? So just imagine, I also, you purchase this server and you want to host your server, or you want to host a website called www.flipkart.com, and you reach to the GoDaddy and they gave you a credential, and there you have added www.flipkart.com, and there you have added your IP address. That is absolutely fine. And now I want to host a company, and I want to start a company, and I also give the name as www. Okay, and I purchased a server that IP address is this one. Okay, now this is in my mind. This is in my mind that I want to host a website called www.flipkart.com. This is in my mind. So this particular domain name or this particular name will be provided by the DNS team or these members. Why? Because if without this intervention, if I also want to host www.flipkart.com, then again I'll come to here. Here if I add www.flipkart.com and I will map this IP address to 3.3.3, then whenever browses someone www.flipkart.com, then the DNS will be confused. I need to send this request to 1.1.1 or I need to send this request to 3.3.3. Right? There is lakhs of websites. I might not aware about flipkart.com. Right? There is a lakhs of websites. We don't know which website is already existed or which website is already functioning. Do I need to use that website or not? I don't know. Right? That is the reason the DNS came into the picture, or the DNS providers came into the picture, and they took the functionality and they took the authorities to provide the name you want. Okay, the first requirement whenever you are going to start your website is you need to contact the GoDaddy person and you say that I need a website called www.flipkart.com, whether that domain is available or someone using the domain. Okay, if somebody using the domain, the GoDaddy will say that you don't have a possibility to give that domain because that particular persons are using that domain. If you want, you can choose some other domains. Now you got the point?
Yep.
So this is the discussion you need to initiate with the DNS team or the respective providers whenever you are going to start your website. Okay, there you have to choose the respective ones, and based on the availability, they will give you like your Gmail ID. Okay, if somebody created with the same name, it won't tell you to create with the same name. Okay, so similarly way, you have to choose your respective website name accordingly that no one uses, and you have to map your IP address over there so that the request will be routed to the respective place. You got the point?
Yeah.
Now you understood what is meant by host name or what is meant by DNS name. Now you understood what is meant by server. You understood what is meant by IP address.
Yes.
You understood what is meant by the DNS concept.
Yes.
You understood what is meant by the routing concept, how it is routed.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So finally, now you know if somebody hits www.flipkart.com, how it reaches to the particular place called 1.1.1.1. Right? Finally, the request received to this place. Got it? Finally, request received to the place. Now, if the request is received to the server, how the server receives that request, how the server forwards that request to the code, how the code actually function or process that request, while processing that request, how will contact the data, how will retrieve the respective data and show it to the user. Now we are thinking inside the picture.
Backend process.
Got it? Finally, you know the process, how it receives to it. Okay, now we are thinking about once it is received, it is doorstep. How we need to receive that request, and how we need to process that request, and how we need to retrieve the respective data and show it. Okay, this we need to talk about. Okay, so this particular code can be written in multiple formats. Okay, we'll go a bit deeper now. So we are now talking about code. What is meant by code? What is meant by code? So basically, I'm talking to you, and your understanding means I'm speaking in the understandable language of the end user or other user, right? Then only you are able to understand whatever I'm talking, whatever I'm saying. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now you need to talk to the server now, because you need to tell that server, hey, www Flipkart request is received. You just process this request. Just they're asking for a refrigerator. Just go to that refrigerator section. Just show the whatever the refrigerator is available. You need to tell that server, right? Okay, so it won't understand your language. Okay, there are certain languages which are understandable by the server. So if you want to talk to the server, you need to tell that server in that understandable language only. Okay, so those languages are .NET, React, Java, Node.js, Angular. There are blah blah. There are many kinds of. There are hundreds of languages we have. Got my point?
Yep.
So this is where the code comes into the picture. Okay, so you need to either talk it in .NET language, or you need to talk it in React language, or you have to talk it in the Java or Node.js or Angular or Web, or there are many like if you talk about. Okay, so whenever you are going to create a website, you need to decide first which type of code I want to go with. I want to build my application, or I want to build my code in .NET or in React or in Java or in Node.js or in Angular. That you need to decide it. Clear? Now you understood what is meant by this .NET and what is meant by the React?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So now the Flipkart owner first goes to the DNS and he confirms that there is a website. There is a website available with Flipkart home, flipkart.com, the DNS name, that he's happy. And the first thing you need to go to is he need to decide the code, which code I need to choose. And if he finalize that, okay, I need to choose .NET. Then the first step you need to go is you need to reach out to .NET developer. Understood? The first thing you need to reach out is .NET developer, because .NET developer is a person who can have a capability to write your code in .NET language based on your understanding, based on your requirement. He can write the code. Now you understood what is meant by the developer.
Yes. Yeah.
What is meant by the name of the developer? The meaning of the
Yes.
developer is he is to develop the code. Got it? Basically,
Yes.
the developers develop the code. He will maximum developers work on this code stacks only. If the person is perfect in .NET, then we used to call him as a .NET developer or React developer or Java developer, Node.js developer or Angular developer. You got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The name in recent days you can see it about full stack or something open stack. This all comes under this developer only. The .NET or React or Angular or whatever it may be. So basic functionality of the developer is we need to write the code. You understood what the developer actually does?
Yep.
Yes.
Develops the code.
Perfect. So now the developer developed the code. That is fine. So now you tell me, developer develops the code and he gave you in one folder, correct?
Yeah.
Right? The code contains many things. The code contains DLL files, exe files, or whatever the language he has written. There is some bunch of files. Am I right? Code is nothing but a bunch of files, correct? So
Yes.
then the Flipkart owner finally receives a bunch of folders from the developer. Right? We used to call it as code. Am I right or not?
Yes.
Now, developer written this code, and if he give that code to you, you'll keep that code at somewhere in the D drive, some drive. Don't go to the DevOps terminology right now. You'll confuse. Let's see. So we'll put it on one folder, write it somewhere. We'll keep it in one place. Now, in the server, actually the functionality or the limitation of the developer is only they used to write that code and they used to give it to you. That's it. Okay. He don't know where we need to put that code. Okay. And how that code will be initiated. Okay. How that code will be called. You don't know. Okay. So to put that code into here and to make some changes and to add some users and to perform some basic functionalities, there might be some person required. That person is called operations engineer, or in a technical world, we used to call it as administrator. You got my point?
Yes. Yes.
So there are two people here. One person is developer. His solo responsibility is to build the code or to develop the code. And then he will hand over it to the administrator or operations person. Then the operations person will take that code and he will maintain that code and he'll put that code at somewhere. Okay, so that if any request comes, the code will be activated and the code will be executed. That responsibility will be taken care by the administrator or operations team persons. Now you understood what is meant by operations team or what is meant by admin activities or admin team will do.
Yes.
Okay. So if you observe in general IT terminology, you will see a name called Linux administrator, or you can see a VMware administrator, or you can see a Windows administrator, or you can see a cloud administrator. Okay. So all the people, what they will do, this is the functionality they used to maintain this particular environment or this particular server. That is why we used to call them as administrators or operations people. Now you understood the difference between developer and administrators or operations team.
Yes.
So developer have some limitations that they only create a code, but they don't maintain that code at somewhere and they don't know how to operate it and they don't want to do the admin functionalities. Okay. In the similar way, the administrator don't know how to develop a code. You got my point? The administrator or operations team, they don't know how to develop a code or how to write a code.
Yeah.
You got my point?
Yes.
Now, just tell me one flow that the developer gives a code. The developer gives a code, and this code, the administrator people or operations engineer kept under the specific location. And if someone browses that request, and if sudden there is an error on the code, there is a error on the website, who actually need to take care?
The developer.
Perfect. Okay. Actually, who need to take care? The developer needs to take care. Okay. So when you are doing, when you are joining a job called administrator, your responsibility is just to put the things in a correct place, and you just observe that every infrastructure or everything is working as expected. That's it. You don't need to interfere into the code. You don't need to see the code, whatever they have written. It's none of your business. Whenever if there is any issue in the code, you simply route that request to developer. He will take care. You got my point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, see here the class comes. What is the class? So what I told you, the developer builds a code and gives to the administrator, and administrator has put the code at somewhere. Correct? Now, if you observe this, the developer started writing the code at 9:30, and somehow he finished the code at 11:30, right? And to put this code into the server, he must take help of administrator, right or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the development team says that I'm ready with my code. Okay. The administrator team or operations team says that, so actually I have only one team member, so he need to go to the lunch break right now. So he's having some other activities right now. So we don't have some time right now. So will you do it tomorrow? You got my point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the developer don't have a right to directly keep the code in the server. So he need the operations team dependency.
Yeah.
Am I right or not?
Yep.
Yes.
He need an operations team dependency. Although he is having code ready, but he need to wait till the operations team responds and operations team took your code and place the code. Till that you have to wait. Don't have any other choice. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Finally, right. So finally the developer waits till tomorrow. It's fine. And then he reached to the operations team and he took the code. And this code, he kept it in one folder at somewhere else. Right? And this code contains, every time they won't provide code folders, just understand, initially they will give a code in one folder. The code contains bunch of files, and the next time if something is want to change in some folder, the code, there is one file called something.exe or something.config, xyz.config. This is a configuration file. Inside this configuration file there is a change. Got it? There is a change. That change must be configured. That change must be suggested by the developer, and that change needs to be performed by the administrator. Correct or not?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, I will show you one example. So if you go to your C drive, there are some codes available. So there is some not images. Windows would be better. If you go to .NET somewhere. Okay, there is one file. This is the DLL. Let's say you can see, right? These are all code. Okay.
Yes.
Let's say developer, there is an issue, and to fix that issue, developer added something into the shared reg12.dll. Just imagine, its current size is 9 KB, and in that DLL he made some changes. Okay, so next time the developer gives you this DLL file. Okay, and he will say to the operations team, dear operations team, I have given you one code earlier. That code you have to kept it on C drive, Windows folder. Okay, the name is Microsoft.NET. Now just do one small favor for me, that just go to this path, that is C drive, Windows.NET Framework 64, and there is one DLL called shared reg12.dll. Okay, you just remove that DLL and I will give you a new DLL. Just place that new DLL here. You got the requirement?
Yes.
You got the clear steps?
Yes.
Yeah.
So developer has a responsibility to identify which code is having issue, and he is having a responsibility to fix that code, and the developer has a responsibility to give that fixed code to the administrator, okay, by giving the necessary steps. You got it? Necessary steps. Where exactly I need to modify that code, because operations team don't know about the code. You don't know about what is the DLL, right? So the developer knows that what is meant by DLL because he wrote it, right? So he will guide you. So you just keep that file in a particular location. Okay. So now that particular operations team come into the picture. He will copy the DLL file and he will come to this folder and he will remove this old one and he will place the new one provided by the developer. You got my point?
Yes.
Yes. So finally, the developer reaches to the administrator and the administrator replaces the DLL file. Right? Now the issue must be resolved. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now here what the thing you observed, the first one you observed is dependency. The first point you observed is dependency. So the developer needs to wait. The developer needs to wait for the operations team to deploy that particular code into the particular place. Clear?
Yes.
Now, thing you need to observe is a word I am telling you. The developer gives the updated code. The operations team put that code in a respective place. Once again, I'm repeating. The developer gives the fixed code. The operations team put that code in a respective place. This process we used to call it as deployment. Understood? Whenever
Yes.
you call your friends, they said, no, I'm busy right now. Today I have a deployment.
Yeah.
So what is meant by the deployment? The developer gives a code and he need to put the code into the server. That functionality or that action we used to call it as deployment. Got it? Who need to perform this deployment?
Admin.
Right. Operations team, the admin team needs to perform this deployment. Right. Now you understood about deployment. Fine. So the developer develops a code and he will give you to the operations person and they will deploy that code. If something is happened, and this DLL is not worked, if something is happened, if the DLL is not worked, then what you need to do?
Send a feedback to the developer.
That is fine. The immediate action you need to do is you need to revert the deployment. Correct? You need to replace this new file with old file itself. Am I right or not?
Yeah.
Yes.
If new one not worked, you need to replace the new one with old one. Correct? So to do that, what operations team need to take care? He need to, whenever he is doing any deployment, he need to take the backup of existing one. Why we need to use that backup? If something goes wrong, then that time that backup will help. Correct or not?
Yeah.
So the operations team need to take the backup and he need to replace that backup file if something goes wrong. Right? So there is a dependency and at the same time you need to maintain backups. That is fine. You are maintaining the backups. That is fine. Let's say. So just imagine you have a code developed and to deploy that code, it took you 1 day because of the operations team busy. So let's say if something goes wrong and if you want to revert that deployment, again, you need to have a dependency with the operations team only, right?
Yes.
So you need to wait till the operations team responds and you need to wait till the operations team revert the deployment. Correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
why this was failed at this moment? Because the developer develops a code, but he haven't checked that code is properly working or not. Right? It's a developer responsibility to check whatever the code or whatever the fix he is giving, that fix is working or not. Correct? So he need to test it, and if it is working, then only you need to give it to the respective operations team. Then they used to do it. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, fine. We'll go into that deeper later. For now, just observe the things. So now there is a dependency between administrator team and developer team, and you need to maintain the backups. And there is one more clash, that is the developer team blames operations team that whatever the DLL I have given, the operations team not deployed the DLL properly. I asked the operations team to deploy the code under framework 64 folder, but the operations team deployed that code under some framework folder. You got my point?
Yeah.
Yes.
There might be a possibility, right? See,
Yeah.
although we are human beings, we do make mistakes, right? By overlook, somehow we deployed that code instead of framework 64, we might place that file in framework folder as well, right? There might be a chance. So that means human made mistakes are there. Correct? Human made mistakes. So now development team blames administrator or operations team blames developer teams. Operations team say that no, developer won't give the proper, I haven't given the proper instructions to deploy where you want us to deploy. So that's why I deployed here. So the clash comes into the picture. Then dev team blames operations team blames dev team. Got my point?
Yeah.
Yep.
So now this is the reason a new concept came into the picture. So why dev operations performed by the developer? Why operations will be performed with the operations team? Why can't there is a team which will perform both? That now there is no concept of blaming. Now there is no concept of waiting period. Got my point?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So the DevOps engineer has a responsibility to perform both activities. You got now?
Yep.
Okay. So to do the DevOps activities from the code to deploy into the somewhere, you need to maintain one automation mechanism. Okay. See, as I told you before, if you want to deploy, you can deploy it manually also, right? Right? Manual also you can copy from here and you can paste it there. But as a DevOps engineer, you must be capable enough to automate the things.
Yeah.
Automate the things. What is meant by this automation? How I need to automate the things, that I can explain. Okay, as of now, you are clear?
Yes.
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 So you understood about what is meant by operations team, what is meant by admin team, what is meant by the deployment, what is meant by the developer, how the developers will do, what is meant by the code.
Yes.
Okay, you understood all these concepts?
Yes.
Fine. Now we'll come to the DevOps. I will say it to you. Okay. So again, just carefully listen the things. This is very, very, very important. Let me know if you face any issues.
Sure.
Sure.
So basically, as I told you before, this is a server, right? This is a server. And now we'll keep this. Right? This is your server. And let's say, coming to the old scenario, the previous scenario which I have explained you, the developer gives you a code and you need to put that code under D drive or C drive under this code folder. Am I right?
Yeah.
So this is today, that is 24th. The developer comes and he says that there is some issue under this SBSCMP 10.dll. So I'm replacing the DLL. Just give me some time. I'll fix that issue and I'll give you an updated DLL. Okay. So what you will do? You'll come here. You will copy this DLL file. Okay. And you'll go to some other folder. Here you'll create one folder. So if you go to the D drive, there you will create a folder called backups, and you come to here to place that file here. Am I right or not?
Yep.
Yeah.
Maximum what you can do, you can create one more folder, that is 25th May release, 25th May deployment. So you can maximum you can create a folder like this and you can move that item to here. This is only maximum you can do, right? Yes, you'll take the backup and you'll just for your understandable purpose and for your future purpose, you just name that folder as 25th May deployment. Inside that, what you deployed a file called DLL. Am I right? This is only you'll do. It's fine. Now, tomorrow is 26th. Tomorrow is 25th or 26th. Again, there is an issue inside this folder. There is an inside in gakutil.exe.config. Okay, and that deployment you need to do. And again, what you need to do? You need to copy this and you need to place it under backup folder. And again, you need to take name as 26th May deployment. And inside the deployment folder, you used to keep that file. You got my point?
Yes.
So tomorrow or day after tomorrow is 26th. Then if you want to revise your previous deployments and if you want to see what exactly deployed on 25th of May or 24th of May, you can simply go to that aspect of folder and you can see it. But it would be a bit difficult to remember the context, or it would be a bit difficult to remember on which issue and why this DLL is replaced. What is the issue behind it and why we replaced it? It would be a bit difficult to remember it, right? For 1 week or for 10 days or at least 1 month releases, we can remember it. What if you want to remember, or what if you want to know the changes happened before 1 year, before 6 months? Every day we are doing changes, every day we are doing deployments. It would be a bit difficult to remember why the deployment is exactly happened. Right or not?
Yes.
Yes.
You can't remember by seeing the file what is the issue. Right? It would be a bit difficult actually. So somewhere you need to maintain the track. Somewhere you need to maintain the details. Correct?
Yeah.
So somewhere you need to maintain the versions. Why versions? Because on 26 May deployment, there is a change in gakutil.exe.config. If you go to the config file, so let's say, so this is the config file. So they made some version as some 1.43.22 here. Correct? So now today's deployment is over. And tomorrow again come into the picture and it is not worked and they are saying that there is no, not this version is fine. So I want to deploy one more version, that is 1443.45 we need to try. So what again you need to do? Again you come to here, you need to place a day here and on that date, there is a name, you need to give it like this, like this is 28th deployment. So again in the deployment you are copying the same file.
Yes.
Right? You don't know what is the change happened on the same file before. At some point of time, you need to tell that, okay, so on this file, on 25th, we changed the version as 45, but on 24th, the previous version is 22 only. Where you can see that. If you want to see, you need to maintain the versions. The gap utility exe.configuration version number 1. This version number 1 contains 22 and version number 2 contains version number this 45 and version number 3 contains 54. Version number 4 contains 67. Now we can see the single file with multiple versions. You can see on each version what is the exact code it has.
Yeah.
Correct or not?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is how a concept called version control system comes into the picture.
Version control system.
Okay, version control system comes into the picture. So basically what it will do, it will maintain versions for your code so that you can see what is the changes happening in every day. You can review the changes, right? This is fine. So let's say if you keep this code or if you keep this version control system in the server itself. Okay, I'm telling you that if you keep the version control system in the server itself, just imagine the things. See now, there is a code. There is a code called get.exe.config file, or there is a code folder. Basically, where the code folder will be existed on the server. Correct or not? In the server. Here we are keeping the code, but the developer, where he used to build that code, or where he used to modify that code. Where he will modify his code. He will modify the code in his laptop only, right?
Yes.
Yes,
He used to work on his laptop only. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to work on the code, what developer first you need to do? You need to copy this particular code to his laptop. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
yes, sir.
So this is fine. You understood this concept?
Yep.
Right. Fine enough. So there is a code in the server, and whenever if there is any change, the developer clones this code or copies this code to his laptop, and he made some changes, and he will give the updated code to.
Admin or server.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Fine. But this laptop is with developer.
Developer.
Correct? This laptop is with developer. If developer has a functionality, or developer has a right to access the code from the server, just observe the thing from the server. That means the connectivity between laptop and server is there. Am I right or not?
Yeah.
yes,
Developer, where he sits? He sits in his home. Correct? And which network he will connect?
His personal internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
With internet only, that particular developer will access the server. Am I right?
Yes.
yes,
But how the server knows that he's a developer and he's accessing the code? I might have a laptop. I might have a server details. I'll also try to copy the code, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some other people comes. Some other people also it will allows, right, to your code. Right?
Yeah.
So there must be some mechanism. There must be some mechanism where you can access, you can put your code in a centralized location, and that can be accessible for your developers only. I don't want to reach you to the server.
Yeah.
You got my point?
Yes.
So that concept we used to call it as
Version
Version
control system.
where we can store the code centralized.
It's a centralized location. There they used to keep the code. Everyone can accessible this code, where you can restrict somewhere that only specific people only can copy the code from here.
Yes.
Okay. This is how the version control system comes into the picture. Currently in the market, the providers who are offering version control system are GitHub, Azure Repos, Bitbucket, Tortoise Git, blah blah. There are many providers available in the market. You got my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now,
Azure.
as I told you before, the developer copy the code to his laptop and the developer made some changes and he will update the changes to the centralized location. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
So now tell me, the developer made the changes. How you can deploy the changes from version control system to server? There might be some mechanism, right? Am I right or not?
Yeah.
Need to establish a connection between your version control system to your
Server.
server to deploy your code. Understood?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the developer made the changes and he will push the changes from here to here, and then via this particular mechanism, this particular code comes to the server. Clear?
What is that mechanism called as?
Yeah, the process is clear.
Yeah.
So this mechanism we used to call it as CI/CD. This we used to call it as pipeline. Got it? Now tell me, what is the functionality of the CI/CD pipeline? To deploy the code from version control system to the respective server.
Mhm.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This CI/CD functionality will be offered by many people in the market. Those are Jenkins,
Azure
Azure Devops, Travis, Bamboo, uh, GitLabs.
Lab, Git Actions.
There are many. You can name it. Harness, Octopus. There are many number of tools available in the market. Argo.
For
There are
CI/CD.
many CI/CD tools available in the market. You got my point?
Yes.
So with the help of the CI/CD tool, we used to deploy the code to the respective environment, respective server. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So now, no forget about this all this stuff. We are focusing on the server stuff now. So now come to the server. As I told you before, the server is a device, correct? So
Yes.
now, we'll open the fresh one. Okay. Basically, you went to one shop. You went to one shop and you purchased one server. You got my point? You went to the shop to purchase one server with 2 virtual CPUs and 4 GB RAM.
Okay.
With this configuration, you purchased one server. Correct?
Yes.
Now, what you need to do? You need to install an operating system.
Hypervisor.
Anything. You need to install your operating system and then you need to install your applications. Right?
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, whatever the server you have is it's not capable enough to fulfill your request, and you want to go for 8 GB RAM.
Scale up.
What you need to do? If this don't have a functionality to upgrade your operating your RAM from 4 GB to 8 GB, what you need to do? Again, you need to go to the shop. Again, you need to purchase one more. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So you need to purchase one more. That's fine. And now you have installed one more operating system here, and you have your application here.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Let's say you want to start one market business. For that, you need one website.
Okay.
Market.com. Right? There is a website. So again, If you want to maintain a website, you must have a code with you and you must have a data with you. You must have all the things with you. Am I right or not?
Yes.
So now, to place these things, you must have one server and you must have an operating system with it and you must have all the things with you. Correct? So you need to, things are going in the wrong way, I feel. Let's tell you one generic example. So you went to USA, right? If you want to live in a place, there is no need of constructing home. There is no need of purchasing furniture, right? No need of taking permissions. No need of main upgradation, right? If you want to stay in a house, you don't need to build that house and you don't need to purchase the furniture and you don't need to worry about the permissions or you don't need to worry about the paint and everything, right? You can rent it. You got my point?
Yes.
You can rent
Yes.
it, right? You don't need to take care of all these things. You just pay for your stay and just whenever you want to go out, you just go out simply. You don't need to worry about all this stuff. Am I right? You don't need to worry of the watchman. You don't need to worry of the water maintenance. You don't need to worry of the electricity maintenance. You don't need to worry about any other stuff. Am I right or not?
Yeah.
They're just offering
Yes.
a functionality and they're just offering you pay. Like how many days you stay, that many days you have to pay. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
finally, the outcome is if you want to stay in a home, you don't need to build that home. Someone may build that home and you can stay over there.
Right.
Right? Similarly, if you want to host your application, you go no need to go to the market. You no need to purchase the website, purchase the server. You no need to do the OS configurations. You don't need to do everything. You
Yeah.
can rent the server as well.
Yes.
You get what my point? If you want
Yes.
8 GB,
Yes.
you can rent 8 GB server. If you want 4 GB, you can rent 4 GB server. You don't need to worry about the old ones. It will be taken care by the people. You got my point?
Yes.
Yes.
So in olden days, how it could be, in olden days, you need to go to the shop and you need to purchase the dedicated operating system, dedicated server or a physical server. There we used to install all our applications and we used to take care of the network for this. We used to take care of the power supply for this. We need to take care of the operating system. We need to take care of the operating system updates. We need to take care of the network connectivity for all, maintenance activities for all. Everything will be done by ourselves. Okay. So nowadays, there is a concept called cloud. Okay. What they are offering, whatever you want, they are offering as a service. You got my point? Whatever you want, they are offering as a service. Like in olden days, if you want to store a data, what you need have, you must have one data disk. Correct? You just go to the market and there you have to purchase one disk and you have to put your data on your disk or pen drive or something, right? So
Yes.
if you want to maintain this disk, if you want to maintain the D drive, you need to take the server, you need to install the operating system, you need to add the data disk, and inside the D drive, you need to put your data. Okay, so only to maintain or to keep the data, you need to maintain all this stuff. Why there is a mechanism? Why don't there is a mechanism that only allowing you to store the data? I don't worry about all this stuff. I just give me a place. I will store my data. I'll pay you for that. Okay, all these offerings will be made by the cloud provider. Okay, cloud comes into the picture and cloud offering you, okay, whatever you want. You want a server? Okay, I will give you. You need a storage? Yes, I will give you. You need a network? Yes, I will give you. You got my point? So
Yes, sir.
you no need to worry about all the infrastructure. The infrastructure will be taken care by the cloud provider itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you want, you can take complete server, or if you want, you can take only the dedicated part. It's up to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it point? So they have certain limits. Whatever you want, you can take. No. I don't want all the flats. I want flat number 304 only. I don't want all this stuff. I want to utilize only your washroom. So I don't want all this stuff. I want to utilize only your corridor. Whatever they want, they will offering you. For each thing, they have a dedicated price. Right? The similar way, in computer world, the cloud comes into the picture and they are offering whatever you want as a service.
Okay.
You got my point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So currently, these cloud providers available in the market are Amazon. First, they introduced Amazon Web Services, AWS, and then Azure, and then
So
GCP.
GCP.
Okay, these are the major players in the market. Right?
Cloud.
If you reach them, they will give you whatever the service you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
Understood this?
Yes.
Fine. So now coming to this picture, here instead of servers, I am naming it as a cloud.
Azure.
It could be anything. Got my point?
Yes.
So this cloud must be AWS or Azure or GCP. Anything. So this is the actual DevOps engineer work. Okay. He must capable enough to place your code to the version control system. He must capable enough to write a CI/CD pipeline or to build a CI/CD pipeline to deploy the resources into any of the cloud.
Okay.
You got my point?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the reason the DevOps engineer must know any one tool. You can name it as GitHub. You can name it as Azure Repos. You can name it as Bitbucket. You can name it as Tortoise. Anything. He must know one version control system. He must know one CI/CD. He must know one cloud.
Okay.
You got my point?
Yes.
So here, from my side, if people are choosing Azure as a cloud, the recommended solutions are they will use Azure Repos for version control system. They will use Azure Devops for the CI/CD. You got my point?
Yes.
Yes.
If you want to become an Azure DevOps engineer, you must be fine enough in Azure Repos, as well as one CI/CD tool you must know, that is called Azure DevOps, and one cloud you need to know, that is Azure. Okay. If people are going to the AWS side, they will prefer GitHub as a version control system, and they will prefer Jenkins as their CI/CD and AWS as their cloud provider. It doesn't mean that only Jenkins. These are popular things. That's it. Popular ones. Got the difference?
Yes.
Yes. So if you want to become a DevOps engineer, you must know about these things. Okay. So this is the actual thing you need to do in your day-to-day basis.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have some other things as well, but this is very high level. I'm telling you, this is very high level. Okay, I'm telling you, yes, there is a country called India and there is a state called Andhra, or there is a district called Guntur. That's it only as of now explained. There are many things inside it. We have mandals, we have talukas, we have gram panchayatis, we have tandas, we have many things, right?
Yes.
So when you go into the deeper, you know all these things. But I'm just telling you an overview of a DevOps. Why it is introduced and what is the disadvantages in olden days, how you overcome with the help of DevOps practice. Okay, as a DevOps engineer, what are the basic things you need to do and basic things you need to know? You're clear with this, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so and tomorrow I will explain about the cloud in more detail. Okay, and the computer evaluation in our server evaluation in more details. So once we are clear with this, and then we can start piecewise. So we'll start version control system. There we'll pick any one. Okay, and we'll start CI/CD. There we'll pick any one, and we'll start Azure. We'll pick any one. Okay, and in similar way we can start it.